Hello everyone!
Hey everyone.
My name is Cheryl.
And my name is Jesse.
And it's another video in our series of buying a home in the Netherlands. Today's video, we are going to be talking about mortgages and mortgage brokers. Now, one of the very first steps of buying a home anywhere in the world really is to get a mortgage or reach out to a mortgage broker or a lender and figuring out how much exactly you can borrow and therefore be able to afford to buy. This is definitely one of the very first steps, even before looking for an apartment or, reaching out to a real estate agent, because if you don't know how much you're able to afford, then there's really no point of the search, unless you're like super rich and have no budget. But if you are normal people like us with a budget, then you definitely want to figure out exactly how much you can afford before you start looking at those dream listings and dream homes, and just kind of start filtering down what the options are for you.
Now, one of the best things about buying a home in the Netherlands is that the mortgage lenders will let you borrow up to 100% of the property purchase price, meaning that a down payment is not necessarily 100% mandatory when you're buying a home around here.
Yeah.
And this is very different compared to other countries in the world like Canada and the US, where the expectation is you need to put down 20% of the purchase price.
Well, not necessarily 20, up to 20,
Up to
like
20%.
Probably 5 to 20% depending on where we're from. We're from Vancouver, Canada, so it's usually recommended to put down at least 15% of down payment. But in the Netherlands, it's 0%. Like, you don't have to, if you can get your mortgage, usually you can get it up to 100%, which is awesome.
That means that it makes things super accessible for people buying a home here in the Netherlands. But of course, you do need a little bit of savings because there are fees and taxes and also furniture if you're buying a new place with no furniture, that you will need to spend a little bit in your new move.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now the biggest question is, who can get a mortgage?
Well, first off, you need to have a residence permit to live in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
That's the most important one.
You need to live here.
Legally.
Yeah, legally.
Secondly, you need to have lived in the Netherlands for at least 6 months or more.
Yeah, that's very important. So if you just moved here as an expat, then technically right now you're not qualified to get a mortgage.
Yeah. So typically what we've seen happen with our friends and with expats is most people rent for up to a year,
yeah,
and then they start looking for a place to buy.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is related to having a residence permit is you need your BSN number. And that is also interpreted as the citizen service number. Mm-hmm. That could be your social insurance number if you're from Canada and the US.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, without that, you pretty much can't do anything in the Netherlands. It kind of proves that you have a job here and a bank here and all of that in order to be qualified to buy a home in the Netherlands in general.
And the last point is you need to have a proof of employment in the Netherlands and also with proof of income.
Yeah. So whether that be with an employer here or foreign income or freelance income, like, you need to obviously have a stream of income to prove in order to qualify for hundreds and thousands of dollars of a loan, right? That's pretty common sense, I think.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, if you haven't figured it out already, yes, expats can get a mortgage approved to buy a home in the Netherlands. Those are all criteria that expats can achieve and get.
All right, so we mentioned about having proof of, employment. So if you are employed, what if you have a fixed or temporary contract? Like there's a lot of different contracts in the Netherlands. A lot of times when you first apply to a job, especially as an expat, you might get a 1-year contract. Very rarely, it does happen though, that you might get a permanent contract right away or maybe a year or two after your temporary contract. So what if you have one or the other?
So if you have a indefinite permanent contract,
yeah,
things are very easy for you. You're almost guaranteed to get a mortgage with no problem.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to a fixed or temporary contract, the short answer is yes, you can get a mortgage approved. The long answer is you might have to work closely with your mortgage broker to find the right lender that could give you the loan for your home. What we did, because I was also on a temporary contract for a year in my second employment in the Netherlands, is I got a letter from my employer stating that they do have the intention of keeping me on permanently after my temporary contract concludes. And that can serve as a important document to secure your mortgage.
Exactly. So remember to kind of talk to multiple mortgage brokers. Like some of them might be lazy and be like, nope, you can't get a mortgage if you have a permanent, if you don't have a permanent job. But yeah, generally you can. You just need to get proof from your employer that they will extend your contract or give you a permanent contract.
Have the intention to.
Have the intention to.
And last tip, if you're currently in a permanent contract at a company and you're thinking about applying for a new job or just switching to a new company, maybe it's a good idea to consider trying to secure a mortgage loan and buying a home before you make that move, because it is a lot easier with a permanent contract.
Definitely. We were kind of, well, we actually just very recent, I think you were just months into your new contract or your new job. And we were kind of like, oh man, like if only we started looking for homes a couple months ago, it would have been a lot easier. We didn't have to show proof from your employer. You were on a permanent contract like 5 months before we started looking for a home. So it was just a lot easier. So if you have the luxury of just kind of planning ahead and you kind of know like, you know, we're going to start job hunting for the next position in like a few months, maybe start like looking for your home now while you have your permanent contract.
So we talked about what the situation is like for someone on a employment status. What about for self-employed people, freelancers?
Yeah, so we also have that personal experience because Jesse works for, you know, a company in the Netherlands and I am self-employed, and I started my company when I moved to the Netherlands with Jesse. And so generally speaking, it is a lot harder to get a mortgage if you're self-employed. So if you're both self-employed, then good luck. That's going to be a little bit harder. For most banks and most lenders, you need at least 3 years of proof of salary, or you need 3 years of income statements, like tax return income statements as a self-employed person, in order to count 100% of your income as proof of income.
Now, does that have to be 3 years of income in the Netherlands, or 3 years of freelance income anywhere in the world?
From my knowledge, it's 3 years of income in the Netherlands, unless some banks might be able to accept your self-employed income from other countries if you're doing exactly the same thing. So in my case, I wasn't. I was doing marketing. I was self-employed. I was doing marketing when I was in Vancouver, but then when I moved here, I did graphic design. So it's completely different clients and pretty much different things, a different job. So don't quote me on this because it's very dependent on the broker that you're working with and what access to lenders that they have and whether those lenders have changed their rules. There was actually one scenario that one of the brokers gave us, and it was there was one bank apparently that allows for you to only have 1 year of proof of income as a self-employed person, but only 75% of your income would be counted in your lending capability. But in order to qualify for that, your partner needs to be obviously employed, and it would be better if they were employed permanently. If not permanently, they need to be at least employed at their current company for a certain amount of time. I think it was like 6 months or something like that. But at that time, you were only employed there for like 4 or 5 months. So in order for me to qualify for 75% of my last year's income, we would have to wait for Jesse to be at his job for a certain amount of time before we can qualify for both of our incomes to be counted towards how much we were able to loan. I know that was a mouthful. It was kind of complicated. All I'm trying to say is there are options when it comes to the leniency and the rules and regulations depending on which lender and which broker you're working with. So one broker that we reach out to, they're like, nope, you're not going to be able to get a mortgage because you don't have a permanent contract and you're self-employed only for 2 years. So it's like, nope, like you got to wait to get a mortgage that will be able to get you anything. And then we reached out to another mortgage broker and they're like, yeah, we have some options. Like one lender can do this. And then we reached out to our last broker, which we went with. They're like, yeah, Jesse's income can qualify you for this much already. And that's probably enough for you to, for your budget that you're looking for. So it really highly depends on the mortgage broker that you're working with. So shop around and get free consultations with multiple people to tell them your financial situation and then see what they can offer you. Sometimes certain mortgage brokerages have partnerships with certain lenders, so they might be a little bit more lenient with certain restrictions or whatever it might be. And also rules change all the time. In the span of like the 2 months or 1 month that we were looking for a mortgage, some of the bank rules changed like within weeks. So I would just say like even the information that we're giving you right now, you might be watching this video like a few months later, a year later. And so rules change all the time. So the moral of the story is just to reach out to multiple people and get a lay of the land of what the options are. Don't feel like just because your situation is complicated, you won't be able to get a mortgage. Like there's always options. It might just be like, you might pay a little bit more on your interest or whatever it might be, but you know, getting home at the end of the day is your goal, then there might be options still.
There are ways, so don't be discouraged.
Yeah.
And shop around, as Cheryl said, for the right mortgage broker that can get you someone that can lend you the money.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so how much is a mortgage broker?
All right, so mortgage brokers or advisors, or if you don't want to go to a mortgage broker, that's okay too. You can probably just go directly to a lender or your bank to get a loan. That process in itself is a mandatory process in your home purchase journey. Like you need to get a mortgage unless you're paying like
in cash,
100% of the thing, but like that process is typically a mandatory process. When it comes to whether you should go for a mortgage broker, the fee for a mortgage broker will be more expensive than going directly to get a loan from your bank. But we didn't even look at like the directly to a bank option. Like for us, the benefits of going to a mortgage broker is always the best option in our opinion, just because you get a third party advice into all the different lenders out there, and they can compare all the different options for you. We knew we had a more complicated application. If we both just had like a normal job, then maybe it's a little bit easier, but I was a freelancer, he was on temporary, so we kind of needed like better advice from multiple lenders to see who can actually do that mortgage for us. The mortgage broker is not cheap. I would say they would range from around 1,000 euros to 2,000. We were kind of in the middle of that range. And the price of it depends on which mortgage broker you're going with, what services you need. For example, in order to get a mortgage as expats, it might be a little bit more expensive. If you're a freelancer, you're going to be more complicated, so it'll be more expensive. There's a lot of factors in terms of like the pricing structure for each mortgage broker. And also sometimes they charge it as a fixed fee or as a percentage of your home price. In our opinion, we prefer fixed fees, just because, you know, you already know how much you can budget in, how much you'll be spending. But also if it's a fixed fee, then it's not really commission based. So I don't know if there's like really any benefit to that in terms of your mortgage broker, because they can only get you what you can get. depending on your financial scenario. But yeah, fixed fee is usually what we try to look for.
And you discussed the price and the terms beforehand, so then there should be no surprises how much you're going to be paying at the end of the mortgage process.
Yeah.
Also, if your mortgage broker doesn't actually get you a mortgage for your home, or you don't actually end up going with the mortgage broker, you don't pay anything. I think they use the phrase no cure, no pay. So if they don't get you a mortgage, then you don't pay anything.
Yeah, not all of them are like that. Just
most of them are.
Most of them are like that. So I would recommend looking for one that's no cure, no pay, meaning that unless you secure your home, you don't pay the fee of the mortgage broker. So that's also best, just because home purchasing is very complicated in the Netherlands. It's very competitive, so you might not actually end up with a home the first time you start looking. So that process can take a long time, and so you don't feel obligated to go with this mortgage broker if you don't actually end up buying your home.
Yeah, and also whatever amount you end up paying for your mortgage broker, let's say your fee was 2,000 euros.
Yeah.
That is tax deductible for your income taxes the following year.
Yeah.
So that's the benefit.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, so I know there's probably other information about the actual mortgages itself, like the different types of mortgages and the cost of the mortgage itself, and all that details about the mortgage itself. We're not going to be going through that in this video. This is strictly about the mortgage broker and that experience. We're not mortgage brokers ourselves. We don't have any specialty.
No expertise.
No expertise in that at all. So we would recommend just doing your research online. We will put a few links in the description below on some articles about some of that information. That information also changes all the time, like interest rates change every few months. And so we would recommend just either reading some articles, or if you're serious about your home purchase, then just reach out to some mortgage brokers. We went with this company called OHAO. I don't know, OHAO. I don't know if I don't know if that's an acronym or the name of it, but it's OHAO, and they had really great customer service. We really enjoyed our experience working with them. It was clear, and it was great for expats, and it was in English. So we'll leave their link below in the description as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video.
Yeah, so we hope you found this video really helpful and insightful, and also all the best to you in your home buying journey if you are actually considering buying a home in the Netherlands. If you haven't already, please give this video a like and also subscribe to our channel, because this is just one of the many videos that we are creating to help expats or anyone who's interested in buying a home in the Netherlands.
Yeah, we'll be linking all the other videos in this series, in this area. So check those videos out. Check out our home buying experience here as expats. We're so excited to share more, so remember to subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye.